make it
Five months after being deployed to Iraq, Lima Company's 1st Platoon found itself in Fallujah, embroiled in some of the most intense house-to-house and hand-to-hand combat since World War II. Civilians were used as human shields or as bait to lure soldiers into buildings rigged with explosives. Suicide bombers approached from every corner hoping to die and take Americans with them, and radical insurgents high on adrenaline fought to the death. In this speech, I'm going to go into details about how the leadership qualities found in Chapter 10 of our textbook are exhibited throughout the military lifestyle demonstrated in Patrick O'Donnell's We Were One, because no matter age, rank, background, proper communication and leadership skills are necessary for success in military careers and day-to-day civilian life. In Chapter 10 of our textbook, it talks about the 5 sources of power: legitimate, coercive, reward, expert, and referent power. I think that it would be interesting to look at each of the different characters and determine which kind of power they exhibit. From there, I would like to look at the kind of leadership styles that they have: directive, supportive, participative, laissez-faire, and achievement-oriented. Today, I will cover the 5 sources of power and group leadership styles demonstrated by Bill Soja and Michael Hanks, 2 of the lead lance corporals for 3rd Squad, 1st Platoon, in O'Donnell's We Were One. According to the textbook, Real Communication by O'Hare and Wiedemann, coercive power is power that stems from a person's ability to threaten or harm others. Legitimate power comes from an individual's role or title. Reward power derives from an individual's capacity to provide rewards. Expert power comes from the information or knowledge that a leader possesses, and referent power stems from the admiration, respect, or affection that followers have for their leader. From Chapter 10 of our textbook, we learned that a directive leader focuses on the group's task by controlling the communication by conveying specific instructions. A supportive leader attends to group members' emotional and relational needs. A participative leader views group members as equals and welcomes their opinions. Laissez-faire leaders are the kind of leaders who give some degree of power and control to their followers. And an achievement-oriented leader sets challenging goals and communicates high expectations and standards to its members. Within O'Donnell's We Were One, Lance Corporals Bill Soja and Michael Hanks demonstrate each of the 5 sources of power except reward. Legitimate power stems from the 2 words before their names, Lance Corporal. Within the military, a good majority of power comes from how many chevrons and rockers are on their shoulders. Coercive power comes from how many deployments Soja and Hanks had both been on. They had already been to Iraq. They knew how the culture worked, and they knew their way around in a general sense. Expert power also relates to the fact that Soja and Hanks had been deployed as well. They knew their way around Iraq, and I said that already. An example of expert power comes from Lance Corporal Soja when he stated, "You are going to do what I tell you to do and how I tell you to do it. We are going back to Iraq whether you like it or not. We have certain ways of doing things around here, and that's the way that they're going to be done, period." Referent power is sort of a combination of legitimate, coercive, and expert all in one because it stems from the admiration and respect and affiliation that the followers have for their leaders. Soja and Hanks demonstrate the directive, supportive, participative, and achievement-oriented leadership styles. Directive leadership is very prominent because orders in the military are very specific and straight to the point. They're unequivocal. Even though directive leadership works best when followers are unsure of what is expected of them, it is still prominent in the military when the members do know what is expected of them. Supportive leaders aren't very prominent within the Marine Corps. Instead, Marines use their peers and emotional support because anything that needs to be sent up the chain of command is something that threatens the safety of the team itself. Participative leadership is also not very prominent because the military has one way of doing each task, and the chance of that task getting altered to do a different way is very small, unless someone speaks up about it being unsafe for the group. Achievement-oriented leadership is also extremely prominent. Challenging goals are both set and achieved, and high expectations and standards are communicated to followers at all times. Whether training or deployed, the military has extremely lofty goals. Anything from climbing that mountain or clearing 50 houses and not becoming complacent while doing so. In conclusion, learning about and learning how to work with people who lead in a certain way is an important step in becoming a good follower. Before one can be a successful leader, they have to be able to follow. Just turn it off.